Hello there, 3C computer science folks. This is Mr. Estall talking to you here. This is the way our videos, our lessons are going to go. I'm not very rarely going to be speaking in front of the entire class, but you'll have these little videos to watch and learn once in a while. Sometimes you'll be asked to take notes on word processor or whatever, but today you're just going to follow along and do as I do, and we're going to run our very first programs, and the programs that we're going to run, actually, there's three kind of languages that we're going to learn in ICS3C, and HTML, you've probably heard of that one. That's kind of how websites are designed and set up. CSS goes with HTML, and it's kind of like a style thing, but these two, HTML and CSS, lead to JavaScript, and JavaScript is where all the meat and potatoes of our course will be covered. That's the big bad computer science programming language. But before we can get to JavaScript, we do need to talk about HTML and CSS a little bit. What's neat about all three of these, this is the programming language of the internet, of websites. And websites, actually, to program them, you don't really need any special programs at all. I'm going to actually, for today anyway, we'll use something a little more complicated than this next week, but I'm just going to use Notepad. So open Notepad, and then we're going to start our web page by writing some codes. Okay, the codes. I don't know why that's. Oh, there it goes. Some codes. The codes in HTML, which is a web page, have these start and end, almost like brackets, start and end codes. And that right there is how a web page looks. And if I were to save this, and I am going to save this, save it as, and I'm going to put it in my home directory. You know, Mr. Estall is already a day behind after one day. I don't even have my folders all set up. Of course, you have your folders set up. You should save this Hello World program in your Unit 1 HTML folder. And I'm just going to, under file name, I'm going to call it Hello World. Not .txt. The Notepad wants to call it .txt, but we're going to call it .html. HTML is how we are going to know that it's a web page rather than, you know, an English essay or a Turing program if you took grade 10 or whatever. So in an HTML website, this is actually an HTML website that we see here, but there are more parts. Usually there's a head, just like a person, and a body. And you see how we have these little kind of tags, is what they're called, to show us where the head and the body end and start. Again, remember, if I'm going too fast, if I'm typing too fast, you can pause the video. I'm going to save this again and just show you that worked. Go to My Computer. When you go under My Computer, under your home directory, you should see a Hello World. That's your program. And when I click on this, it's going to open it in Chrome or Firefox or Internet Explorer or whatever your browser is. And there's your first website right there. Well, it's blank. There's nothing to it all. Well, that's because we didn't put anything in it. So here, we don't have anything on our website. So in our body, we'll talk about what goes in the head later, but let's put in just a little message. And the tabs don't really matter. It just makes it easier for me to read. I'm going to say this is a pretty boring website. I'm going to save it again. And notice that it didn't change in the browser yet. It's saved, but it doesn't automatically update. That's when I have to refresh or double click on it again. And there it is. Hello world. This is a pretty boring website. We did that. That's pretty cool. But we might want to add a little oomph to this. Maybe we want a title, and the title actually goes in the head. So title and title and whatever you want your title to be. And after you try something, remember to save it and update. Notice that the title started and ended with these tags, and notice that they're kind of like brackets in math, where you wouldn't have a title in here and then out there because it would get in the way with the head bracket. So save this, and I wonder if this made much of a difference. I bet you not much. Oh, my wicked cool website. There's the title. Dandy. Now, we can format this even a little bit more. And in fact, we're going to start getting into what's the second part of our course, which is CSS. CSS is actually the style or the appearance of a website. So I want to show you some of that. And we're going to just get a taste of CSS now and then leave it for a couple of weeks while we learn about HTML, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So for instance, if we want the style of the body, and notice that these are different looking codes. You see the start bracket and end bracket. This is how the body is going to appear. So for instance, if we wanted to change the color to red, notice that it ends with the semicolon. This is one thing that the style looks like, and I'm going to save this. And then bam, red. Hey, pretty cool. I could, if I wanted to in CSS, change a whole bunch of different things. So for instance, if I wanted to change the font, and notice that these are codes that we're going to be learning during our course. So say we want the font family to be Arial instead of whatever it is. This is actually Times New Roman. File, save. And now I update it. Now it's changed the font. And as I add complexity, I'm going to add stuff to my website. Now, this is CSS, right? So I'm going to actually do the next part. And I know this is a lot. You're not writing down. You're sort of doing your own websites. I'm going to... Oh, it's at the end of the period there. It's the end of the period. No, don't leave. We're still working here. These are comments. There's comment tags in HTML. This is CSS here, and then it ends with another subtract end thing, and then that the web browser knows not to put any. It'll skip that. It's just a comment. You could write little words to yourself there. So I'm going to save this again, and notice that nothing changes. Nothing changes. It's still working though, and I'm going to change something else. So I'm going to actually start showing you what's called the JavaScript. So in my website, this is still HTML tags, by the way, here. And I know this is a lot for the first day, but we're setting up for the whole semester, right? And then I'm going to write console.log hello world from the console. Hopefully you're keeping up. And we'll see something here. Okay, rest all. Nothing happened. You're a terrible computer science teacher, nothing happened. But I want to show you that something actually did happen. There was a piece of code actually ran. If you press F12, F12 gives you a look at your website in a different way. And what we want to do is we want to actually look at the console. The console in this one, it's kind of small, I realize that, is right there. Did you see how I pressed on there and then console? Look at there, hello world from the console. It sort of printed that out, but it's embedded in the website. So there's actually some processing that's gone on. All right, that's kind of boring, I guess. Let's try some more JavaScript. Here's another JavaScript, and this one is maybe a little more cooler. Hello world from an alert. Notice that the commands end with a semicolon, and this is all part of code. It's pretty picky if you've never done any before. I'm going to save that again, and I'm going to reload the page, and look, a pop-up. And that was pretty easy to make that pop-up. Can you see how even today we only did a little bit, but how quickly we were sort of learning about web pages and writing web pages and so on. All right, I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to let you go play with this and have some fun. Don't be afraid to Google some things. Don't be afraid to look some stuff up. And if you get bored, you can always go on with the next day stuff. This is the start of our journey in computer science and web page design. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.